So welcome back to the channel, guys. This is your boy Ali. So today's topic is going to be about technical degree versus certification. For the people that are looking for more information about this, stay tuned in. And for the people who are not interested in this type of videos, this video is not for you. But if you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now before we get into the video. So I appreciate and thank everybody who's been tuning in, watching all my videos. I really appreciate that. So let's get into it. So before we jump into the video, I'm going to kind of break down the layout of this video so you guys have a good understanding of what we're going to talk about. So first I'm going to briefly talk about what is a certificate, and then I'm going to talk about what is a degree, and then I'm going to talk about the difference between the two by time, curriculum, and requirements. So that way you'll kind of have an understanding of how they both compare to each other with those three variables. And then we're going to talk about which one is right for you. And then of course we can't leave this out, right? We have to talk about the salaries. So who makes more money? Degrees make more money or certificates? And that's very subjective as well. And I'm going to get into that as well. And I'm going to show you some data that proves otherwise. Now, certificate is a document that shows the potential employer that you have completed a training in an academic environment for that specific training or job skill that you are looking to get into. A degree, however, is awarded by a college or university, and it shows potential employers that you have completed a significant coursework for a specific area of study. So now this is obviously more broader, where a certificate is just narrowed down to the job skill that you are looking to get done. Okay, so I have taken some notes here, so I'll read that from it. So I'm giving you accurate information. Now, the difference between the certificates and degrees by time, requirements, and curriculum. So time, certificate takes months up to a couple years to complete on the high end. Mostly certificates would cap out at 2 years time frame, where a degree would be 2 years for associate, 4 years bachelor's, and then of course 6 years master's, or 4 years and then 2 years for master's. So that's the time frame from a degree. And of course, we're talking about technical degrees, but if you're talking about medicine, then it goes further beyond that, right? Now, as for requirements, certificate programs sometimes require a high school diploma, but many do not. So pretty much certificate really doesn't have a prerequisite. If you just want to go for it directly, you could just jump into it and pass your certification. Obviously, you have to do a lot of studying for it, and that could be a month or two time frame, whatever you think you need to cover that specific subject. Now, as for degrees, requirements could be different, right? So it often requires a high school diploma, obviously, completion of standardized tests. Advanced degrees often requires lower level degrees. For example, completed bachelor's degree may be required to enter a master's degree. Now, and of course, if you're trying to go into med school, which is again off topic, it's not related to this, then you of course need to have at least a minimum of bachelor's degree with certain subjects taken. So obviously the requirements are quite strict for a degree rather than for a certificate. Now we're going to talk about curriculum. A certificate program tends to focus on developing the core skill needed for the job. So if you're trying to get into a job, you probably just need that certificate to get the job done. However, for a degree, you cover a wide diversity of subjects that provide a depth of knowledge, right? So that is really helpful when you're trying to read the markets and you're trying to understand the business requirements and the technical requirements. You really have to kind of have that deep understanding of diverse subjects that you're going to be tackling through your your work environment. Now, that normally happens if you're going up the corporate ladder. The jobs that are maybe middle management or even on the architecture level, you need that level of exposure or knowledge to be able to successfully be good at that job. Okay, so which one is right for you? Now, that obviously depends on what your goals are, and so what are the requirements to get a job in your industry? That's one of the questions you want to ask yourself. Now, a lot of times in technical fields, you might just get away with a certification. And a certification is a good way to get through the door and then work your way up through the corporate ladder or through the whatever, depends on your willpower and how much you're putting in to that job or role. That will kind of relate to how fast you get up into that company. Now, I wouldn't say that same thing for medical or maybe for business, right? Because they may need you to do something else. And for as for technical folks, if you're a smart guy and you're technically strong, you might be able to jump hoops really fast and get up to the architecture level really quickly, rather than somebody who doesn't have those skills. So, and how quickly do you want to make the change in your career? That's another question you want to ask yourself. So if you're the type of guy who just wants to get a job and not worry about getting a long-term degree and having to put day in, day out into going to school and achieving grades and all of that stuff to get a degree, I'd say just jump into getting a certification. And now if you're strong and you get a certificate, that's a really good chance for you to be successful in the field. So now we're going to talk about salaries for certs versus degrees. Now, from my experience, more education equals more money. And in my career that I've found that obviously people who have master's degree and then they go for an extraordinary certificate to top that off with, most likely end up getting the pay, right? Because they've proven themselves multiple times, and the employer, if you're going into a new employer, the employer does not know anything about you, and the certificate doesn't really prove much besides that you know about the subject, and it doesn't really say that you have done it previously or not. So a degree kind of proves and gives you more credibility because you have attended courses and done your chores over and over for a period of time. That kind of proves how consistent and persistent you are to be able to achieve a goal and get your degree. So that degree proves a lot of that, right? And of course, it gives you more depth in the study or field of work that you're trying to do or whatever, but it gives you more in-depth knowledge. So without a doubt, degree is how you want to pursue if you have the time and money. So I got some data from the U.S. Bureau of Labor Statistics. So this tells you that people who have less than a high school diploma have a higher unemployment rate than people with a high school diploma. People with a high school diploma have less unemployment rate than somebody with some college. And people with some college have a higher rate of unemployment than people with associate degree. And then people with associate degree have a higher unemployment rate than people with a bachelor's degree, and then master's and professional degree, doctorate, whatever. So you get the point, right? So the more education you have, the more chances of you staying employed for your employer, because obviously that trust factor, the credibility, and that you have proven yourself is there. And the chances of you advancing is there as well, unless you're really technically smart and you have a certificate and you pretty much solve majority of their big problems, where you might be that one-off guy, right? So I'm talking in general senses here. So people normally with a higher degree would get a better chance going up the ladder rather than somebody. So what do you get from all this? Now, if you're looking to start a career without wasting further time, certificate would be your best bet because it will be good enough to get you through the door. It will really depend on how cutting edge you are to get advancement in your career in the technical world. However, if you do have the funds and the time and want to pursue a higher degree or higher education, I would definitely recommend going the degree route. I personally am a big believer in education as a whole. So for me, learning never ended, even to this day outside of college. I just simply enjoy gaining knowledge. I started with a certification that got me in through the door, and I started making decent money. So then I was able to pay for college, and college was just like a lifelong goal for me. And I attained my master's degree, long story short. And then I got my master's of science. And then after that, I went for further certifications, which were really niche down in the market. And, that I think tremendously helped me with everything, with staying employed, getting a higher salary, or anything else that you could think of, because you're checking all the boxes, and that's what it's all about, right? You don't want to, I feel like I don't want to sell myself short to anything in life. And the biggest part of it is education, because education will take you from places to places in life and give you opportunities and open a lot of doors for you. So if you have the time, money, and will and dedication, definitely go for higher education. Get your degree, get your bachelor's, then definitely get your master's degree, because that will put you and on top of the other candidates that just have a certificate and experience. So, master's degree would definitely highlight your resume among the rest. And, definitely go for the certificate too after that, and, do a double down on that. Now, with all that said, everything I said is meaningless unless it is put into action. So they say goals without deadlines are dreams. So make sure you set attainable goals for yourself and achieve them, and then move on to your next goal. Having said that, that was it for today. Till next time, see you guys.